Welcome, dear listeners, to a frozen symphony of survival, a morning in a place where ice and desperation reign supreme. At exactly 5 a.m., the day was ushered in by the unyielding sound of a hammer striking a rail outside the camp headquarters. The rhythmic pounding of metal against metal reverberated softly through window panes glazed with more than an inch of ice, before fading into an eerie silence. Outside, the darkness was broken only by 3 solitary yellow beams, 2 from perimeter lights and 1 from within, casting a ghostly glow over the frost. In a camp where every minute is a test of endurance, Zhukov was usually up with the first call of reveille, seizing a precious hour and a half of solitude before the morning roll call. This was the time when the resourceful could barter small favors: a patch for a comrade's worn mittens, a pair of dry felt boots delivered straight from his bunk, or a quick errand in the supply rooms. Yet even in these brief moments of respite, echoes of old warnings haunted him. He could still hear his first gang boss, Kuzyomin, an old camp hand with 12 years of hardship behind him, declaring by a campfire, "In this jungle, the first to go is the one who licks his bowl, trusts the infirmary, or squeals to the screws." Harsh as it was, those words were etched into every prisoner's heart. But this morning was different. Zhukov lay cocooned on his top bunk, bundled under his blanket and overcoat, his feet tucked deep inside the sleeve of his jacket. A relentless chill and a body racked with aches had robbed him of his usual vigor. Outside, the barracks were transformed into a frozen labyrinth, windows encased in ice, and walls draped in a delicate web of frost, as if nature herself was waging war against warmth. From his darkened perch, Zhukov heard the distant thuds of orderlies struggling with a 20-gallon latrine tank, the clatter of felt boots dumped in haste as gang members prepared for the day's brutal labor. Whispers floated about a new daunting task. Gang 104 was to abandon routine repairs for a colossal project, a socialist community development built on barren, snowdrift-choked fields. Yet before a single foundation could be laid, the prisoners would have to dig holes, plant posts, and string barbed wire to keep themselves confined in a bitter land where even fire was a luxury. Amid these grim prospects, a flicker of routine broke through the silence. The gentle creak of a bunk signaled the stirrings of Zhukov's neighbors, the devout Baptist Alyoshka above and Buinovsky, a former Navy captain, below. Soon a quarrel erupted among the orderlies over who would fetch the hot water, punctuated by a booming shout from an electric welder of Gang 20, hurling a boot and silencing the bickering like an old curfew. Before long, fate took a sharp turn. As Zhukov lay silently enduring his aches, a sudden, unyielding hand yanked away his blanket and jacket. Emerging from the dim light was the infamous Thin Tartar, his black coat marked with the faded number S854. In a muffled tone that sent shivers down every spine in the barracks, he pronounced a 3-day sentence: extra work in the dreaded can. The entire room sprang to life. Groggy protests and whispered pleas filled the air. But resistance was futile against the Tartar's relentless authority. Resigned, Zhukov pulled himself together, donning his worn padded trousers, bearing the same number on a tattered cloth, his jacket, his boots, and his cap, before following the Tartar out into the freezing dawn. Outside, the camp had transformed into a vast icy stage. Thick fog coiled around every figure as colossal searchlights from distant watchtowers crisscrossed the sky. their beams obliterating the stars. Prisoners shuffled in unison across the snowy expanse, their every step echoing the harsh rhythm of survival. They passed the high wooden fence of the punishment block, navigated past the barbed wire encircling the bakery, and skirted by frost-laden posts, one of which bore a thermometer, its milk-white tube a silent oracle of temperature. A hopeful glance at that gauge reminded them, if it ever plunged to 42 below zero, no one would be forced to work outdoors. Yet on this morning, the mercury barely hinted at such extremity. Entering the camp headquarters, they found themselves in the warder's room, a small haven where a blazing stove battled the cold. Warders played checkers with nonchalance, and one dozed on a narrow bench. Here, the Tartar revealed Zhukov's reprieve. Instead of the dreaded can, he was tasked with mopping the very floor where the warders sought warmth. In this grim microcosm, the rule was simple. Finish your work and vanish, for to be idle was to invite punishment. Grateful for this small mercy, Zhukov offered a rueful thanks to the Tartar, promising never to oversleep again. With his pain momentarily eased, he grasped a bucket and set out for the well, albeit forgetting his mittens in the rush. At the well, he confronted nature's own barricade. A thick crust of ice sealed the opening, and a rope as stiff as a board mocked his frozen hands. Yet, with perseverance, he filled the bucket with steaming water and returned to the warder's room, dousing the grimy boots of the grumbling warders in a bold act of defiance. A terse exchange of crude banter ensued, a collision of quotas, insults, and memories of battles long past. Zhukov's innocent, broken smile revealed the scars of scurvy and loss from a distant 1943, when fate had once torn him from all he loved. His whispered reminiscence of 1941, a time when even the warmth of a cherished presence was snatched away, lingered in the air like a solemn vow. With his task completed, Zhukov methodically retraced his steps. He swept across the floorboards until no dry patch remained, discarded his rag carelessly behind the stove, and, donning his boots once more, strode resolutely toward the mess hall. Along the way, he passed the bathhouse, the cold, dark recreation hall, and even the hospital block, each step a testament to the enduring struggle against the unrelenting cold. At the mess hall, he navigated carefully, mindful of the commandant's strict orders against lingering in the open. Inside, the hall was transformed into an otherworldly steam bath, where the chill of the outside air mingled with the warmth of thin, piping camp gruel. Prisoners huddled at tables, jostling for every available seat, while gangs maneuvered through the crowd with trays laden with meager bowls of sustenance. In the chaos, collisions led to spilled gruel and swift, bitter exchanges. Every dropped morsel a small skirmish in the larger battle for survival. In one corner, a young newcomer, likely a Western Ukrainian, crossed himself with trembling hands before taking his first bite, a silent prayer amid the relentless struggle. Here, in this bleak refuge of frigid hunger and muted camaraderie, every act of eating was a defiant stand against the cold, every shared glance a whisper of hope in a place where warmth was scarce, and every day was a battle for life. And so, as the day unfolds in this frozen landscape of hardship and small rebellions, we bear witness to the indomitable spirit of those who, despite the odds, continue to fight for a shred of dignity in a world where even the smallest act of survival is a triumph.